Good morning Year 6 and welcome to Monday the 1st of February's literacy lesson. So our learning objective today is to research and take notes, and the video and all the links can be found on the Y6 blog on our website, and they will have been emailed to your parents as well. There should be 3 links today, the link to this video and then the link to 2 other videos. Okay, remember when you log on the website to go on Y6 activities, and it will be under Monday the 1st of February home learning. So you need a couple of things before you start. So I'm just going to switch to the visualizer. You need obviously your literacy book, and then you need your literacy home learning for the week beginning Monday the 1st of February. Okay, turn over. That's Tuesday's page, but Monday's on the other side. So Monday is the page that you need, and this is what you need to do first. Write the date and the learning objective into your book as so. Just bear with me. So keep it like we do in class. So on the left hand side, Monday the 1st of February, and the learning objective, that there, learning objective is to research and take notes. And then when you've done that, just underneath write SPAG, because we're going to start off with a little SPAG starter first. Okay, so that's what you need to do first very quickly. So pause the video while you do that, and I'll go back to our SPAG starter. Okay, right, so our SPAG starter today is on adverb openers. Okay, so an adverb opener, I was very impressed at our use of I-spaced openers 2 weeks ago. And some people were using the adverbs in the middle of the sentence. So just a little bit to clarify that an adverb opener does go at the beginning of a sentence. And as we're writing a non-chronological report this week, it's going to go at the beginning of a fact. And this adds style to your work, just stops it getting very repetitive and very boring. But as a warning, too many of them, one after the other, will look silly. So here are a couple of adverb openers that we'd use for a fact, a non-chronological report. Gosh, can't speak today. So we've got interestingly, amazingly, curiously, incredibly, unusually, and unfortunately. Of course, if you can think of any more, that's great, but make sure that they are only specific to non-fiction facts. So like this one. The marine iguana sneezes to get rid of excess salt in its body. Okay, so I could use a number of these with that. I could put curiously, the marine iguana sneezes to get rid of excess salt in its body. Unusually, because it is a very unusual thing to do, to sneeze to get rid of salt in your body. Usually you use your kidneys for that. Unfortunately, that wouldn't really work with this one. So make sure that you pick the right one, that you don't use one that might sound good on its own, but then when we put it with the rest of the fact, sounds a bit silly. Okay, so I'm just going to switch back to the visualizer. So then underneath, what you would do in your book, not for this one, this is just an example. So I'm going to put unusually, comma, always a comma after an adverb opener. The marine iguana sneezes to get rid of excess salt in its body. Full stop at the end. Make sure I've got my capital letter at the beginning. Okay, so now that I've done that, now that you've seen me show you that, remember the adverb goes at the start. What I would like you to do now is choose a sentence and rewrite it, not with one, but with 2 adverb openers. Okay, so there's some sentences here. You only need to pick one of them. You don't need to do all 3. I mean, you can do if you like, if you feel like challenging yourself. So just pick one of them and pick 2 of these from the bottom that work with each one and write it in your book just like I've done. Okay, so I did one. I'm just going to go back and maybe pick another one now. Okay, so I'll pick another one for mine while you do that. So pause the video while you do that. Okay, so I'm going to go with amazingly, the marine iguana. to get rid of excess salt in its body. Right, okay, so after that, I'm just going to switch back to the visualizer. What you should have now for your spag is you should have two sentences, like I've done there, but with two different adverb openers. Very well done, Year 6. Right, so I'm going to move on. Derek, very keen to see if anybody managed to get unfortunately in there. Right, so this week we've had a bit of a change to literacy. So rather than spend 2 weeks writing one piece of work or 3 weeks writing one piece of work, we're going to do it a week at a time. So literacy this week is only going to be very short. And we're going to look at a place called the Galapagos Islands. So the Galapagos Islands are on an archipelago, although they're an archipelago or a group of islands that have been created by volcanoes, otherwise known as volcanic islands as well. They're found in the Pacific Ocean at about 600 miles from the coast of Ecuador. That's east off the coast of Ecuador. So we can see here's South America, Ecuador is this country here. This is the equator. Some of the hottest places on Earth are on the equator. And then about 600 miles out, right here, are a group of islands called the Galapagos. Okay? And unusually, they are bang on either side of the equator. So they're both in the southern and northern hemisphere at the same time, which I thought was quite interesting. So the islands, obviously being very far away from land and separate from each other, life on the islands has evolved in a very different way to the mainland. But the Galapagos Islands are home to lots of different types of plants and animals that are similar between islands but different. Okay, and 3 of the species are giant tortoises, marine iguanas, and Galapagos penguins. Usually we associate penguins much further south. These penguins live on the equator. So they're also made famous by the biologist Charles Darwin, who visited in 1835. And the things that he saw on the island, the slight differences between the same types of animal on each island, helped him work out how they had adapted to their environment, and he coined the term natural selection and evolution. So these islands were very instrumental to his theory of evolution. You can still visit them today. They're a very big tourist destination, but they're very expensive to go to. And it's very well protected as well, because there are only a few hundred giant tortoises left. They've all been hunted. And you can see at the bottom here there are links to 2 videos. Well, on your home learning links, I sent 2 links to the BBC. So there's 2 videos on there that you can watch about them. So the Galapagos Islands are known for having very unique animals. And this week we're going to write a non-chronological report about 2 of them. So these are the 4 animals that I have chosen. Okay, so we've got this guy here. Anybody know, recognise what kind of bird that is? I'll be impressed if anybody does. This guy obviously is the giant tortoise. This guy, clearly the Galapagos penguin. I say this guy, they could also be girls, who knows. This is a marine iguana. Now marine, anybody knows what that means? It means in the sea. So these iguanas are found in the sea more often than not. That's where they hunt and where they eat. This guy is the great frigate bird. Okay, very, very massive red sac there. They don't always look like that, but they can blow air into that, blow it up like a balloon. So today we're going to take notes on one of these 4 animals. Okay, so in your packs, I'm just going to switch back to this. You should have right at the back a fact file about penguin, the Galapagos penguin, a fact file about the magnificent frigate bird, a fact file about the Galapagos tortoise, and a fact file about marine iguanas. And today I'm going to take notes from the Galapagos penguin booklet. Okay, so I'm just going to go back on here. There we go, we're going to research. Now to research we need to think of each subheading that we're going to research. So we're going to write about these subheadings at the end of the week. So we're going to write 5 areas of the Galapagos penguin, and we'll do them in order. So the first thing we'll do is physical characteristics. So in my book, at the top of my next page, bin bag on that one, I just write a small subheading, physical characteristics. Physical characteristics. And of course you would underline that. Let me just, of course, got my ruler handy. Should have been a bit more organised there, Mr. Kerman. Physical characteristics. So give that a little bit of an underline. I'm going to switch back to this now. Now, if you, of course, don't want to research the the Galapagos penguin, you can research one of the other four. Here are, I've written for you, each of the subheadings you will need to take notes under, like I'm going to do next. Now, the easiest to research is the penguin. The more trickiest to research are the iguana and the frigate bird, because they have some weird things. And then a middle of the ground one is the tortoise. Okay, so having a look at this, I'd have to read it first, and you can see each section is split up into our subheadings that we're going to take notes under. And it's got a little bit of an introduction. So it's a flightless bird, so this, well, I'll read it first. This flightless bird is one of 5 endemic seabirds in the island. Though clumsy on land, endemic just means that they only live in the Galapagos. Though clumsy on land, they are extremely skilled and swift underwater, which becomes apparent when snorkeling with them. This is the best way to appreciate penguins' agility. It is a lot of fun, but do not even try to keep up, as penguins are amazingly fast underwater. Right, okay, so looking at that then, there's a couple of notes that I could take, so I'm just going to switch back to the visualizer view. And as you can see, I've got them here. Now, as you're reading it, you might want to just quickly underline a few things. And as it's notes, we're just going to take bullet points. So it's a flightless bird. Obviously, that means it cannot fly. Endemic doesn't tell me that it's anything physical, so I might just circle that and come back to it later. Okay, now, extremely clumsy on land and extremely skilled and swift underwater. So I might just write clumsy on land and swift underwater. So you're not copying whole sentences, you're copying key facts here. And then it also says another word that I quite like down here, agile, or well, it says agility, so agile for that. And then you can see in this one we've got physical characteristics again. So this is now going to be nice and easy to take notes from because it's already in bullet points. So it's up to 20 inches long. The Galapagos penguin is the smallest species of South American penguin. Not world, just South American. It weighs 5.5 pounds. Its coat is black on the head and back with white markings on the head, belly and undersides of the flippers. And they can live for 15 to 20 years in the wild, with the natural predators including dogs and cats. That should also say sharks and seals in the water as well. So I'm going to switch back to that. So a few more physical characteristics. So it was 20 inches long. And I'm going to combine height and weight together and 5.5 pounds. I think it said, yeah, 5.5 pounds. So I'm looking at this part here. Smallest species of South American penguin. So I'm going to abbreviate South American to S American, just because. Alright, so there's a couple of notes that we can take on that one there. So obviously there's a few more that you can take. So then you'd have a look through at habitats. You'd take some notes on habitat. So once you'd finish writing the physical characteristics section, just underneath, right, habitat. Actually, just ignore that. Leave about 3 or 4 lines, and I'll explain why later on towards the end of the video. Okay, and then you'd read those things and take a few notes about habitats. So let's say that takes 5 lines. Leave a couple of extra lines. Moving further down the page now. Then you've got behaviour and communication. So then you take a few notes on that, and then the last one you would take a few notes on is feeding habits, which is only going to be a small section. I've just realised I haven't used my ruler for any of that. That is terrible, terrible teaching methods. Apologies about that. And then on the next page, leave a room for some fast facts. And it's this fast facts that I'm going to go to now very quickly for you. Okay? So obviously don't do what I've done there. I'm just showing you how to set your work out. So what you would do is you'd take notes on each of these sections, on this section, then you'd write this one, take notes on that, then write this one, take notes, until you get all the way to fast facts. Right, so that should be quite straightforward to do. Anyway, right at the very end of the fact file on Galapagos penguins are some interesting Galapagos penguin facts. Okay, so the reason I've done this is for you to put them under the correct subheadings, okay, and to also not repeat yourself. So for example, this first one, Galapagos penguins can reach 19 to 20 inches in height and 4.4 to 8 pounds of weight. Females are smaller than males. Now this is talking about physical characteristics. So what I would do, I already know how long they get and how heavy they are, but then I might add to that, females are smaller than males. So you're adding to each section and adding a little bit more detail, or adding extra information rather. Black plumage on the head, on the dorsal side. Ooh, plumage, fancy word for feathers. But we've already written that, or we should have already written that. Longer and slenderer bill compared with other species of penguins. Now, that's an interesting one. So we might write that in physical characteristics there. So longer, comma, slender bill than other penguins. The bill is its beak, but water birds don't have beaks, they're called bills. Right, so let's go back to this. Let's see if we can find one further down. Oh. Now, some of these might not relate to any of your sections. They might not relate to physical characteristics, habitat, behaviour and communication, or feeding habits. So they would go in fast facts. For example, this one here, both parents provide food for their chicks. That would go in fast facts. I'm just going to turn that over so you can see. So both parents provide food for their chicks. There we go. Okay, right. So that's all you're doing for today's lesson. And just to finish off, you don't have to do the Galapagos penguin. You can choose any one of these that you like. And the work I should see in your book should be set out like this, with the date and the learning objective and then the SPAG, and then each section with a few notes in each one. Okay? Any questions, please email the Year 6 email account. This week I will be teaching in school, so Miss Wallace or Miss McDonald will answer. Okay, they will email you back. If you need them to call you, they can call you as well. Okay, right, see you tomorrow.